Today we're going to talk about one of the most important songs in jazz world, and that is the song Autumn Leaves. The reason I want to bring that because it actually holds a lot of information that is relevant for any musician, any guitar player, or also not guitar players. We'll look at the melody, we'll analyze what is happening there, what is going on with the melody, what is going on with the chords, what is happening in the relationship between the melody and the chords, and how to play that. We'll also do a little chord melody together so you can play it and enjoy it. All right, so let's get started. So you can see this chart here, and the first thing we want to see is kind of big picture. How do we approach learning a song like that? So, okay, we see an accidental, and that is that mark there, F sharp, and that means that we have two optional keys. People can drop comments if they know what key it is in, and the optional keys for F sharp accidental is basically G major or E minor. So both G major and E minor actually holds the same notes, just different center. That means that transitioning between G major to E minor is quite easy, and it's something that happens quite often in pop, in jazz, in rock, and actually in music. So that's why I'm saying the song is so important for us to understand, because it does those beautiful tricks that are being used all over the place. All right, so I want you to look for a second at the end of the song. So you see the chord E minor, and I'll show you this voicing shortly, but basically the song ends with an E minor, and that is kind of the fine of the song, and in that sense, it's a good indication for us that the song is indeed in the key of E minor, which it is. All right, so let's look at the melody for the first couple of bars of the song. So we have this melody. If you want to get the most out of this lesson, there's a note-to-note transcription on Patreon with tabs and notation. Check it out. In music, repetition creates context. In that sense, that idea is being repeated again and again from the different degrees of the scale, right? We have this kind of cell, then it's being repeated, little change. But basically, this is what we call a sequential melody. There is the same idea that is happening from the different degrees of the scale. So again, you don't have to see it automatically because maybe you're new to this. It's totally fine. But the easier it gets easier, the more we see the repetition, and the more we have these kind of like things to hang on to, these kind of like hooks that we understand and see. This is why I'm saying, and this is why I feel strongly about it, that understanding, hearing, and feeling the music is very important and will make us better musicians. Oh, please drop a comment with your favorite version to Autumn Leaves. Maybe drop some links so I can check them out. Thanks. Just to mention, you see these 3 chord notes before the measure starts, kind of before the A minor. That is basically anticipated, right? So the actual bend, if you will, comes here on that downbeat. That's kind of like how that song is being played. Okay, so the first chord is A minor, and when we have a D7 going to G major and a C major 7. Okay, so what is happening here? If I don't know what key we're in, I would say I'm playing, actually, this whole thing sounds in G major. So that would be a 2, because this is A minor, this is the 2 of G major, and then 5, the 1, and to the 4. Now, even if you know it, it's very important to hear it and feel it. So I'm just going to hum the bass. Re, sol, do. So what is really happening here is we have a 2, 5, 1, 4 in the key of G, and G is the relative major, and then we have a 2, 5, 1 in the key of E minor. So I want to show you these shapes that I'm using. I mentioned it before, but if you're new here, totally welcome. So these are called shell chords. They're very important, very, very useful shapes to use when you're playing jazz, when you're learning songs, and just great shapes in general. So A minor 7, this is from the 5th fret, and then I'm playing a D7. And again, I'm using this shell chord, using this is the 6th string, and this is the 5th string, D7, then G major 7 to C major 7. Now, for me, learning information out of time is okay, but learning it in time really, really helps. Even if it's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So notice I'm just playing chord notes. I'm kind of keeping really, really simple without a metronome just yet. So I'm going to do it one more time, but now I'm going to also hum the bass just to make sure I'm actually feeling and hearing this first couple of bars of the song. La, re, sol, do, fa dièse, si, mi. Alright, so again, I'll show you all the shapes one more time so it's really clear, and then we can practice it in time. So A minor 7 to D7, and again, listen to the colors. Tell yourself this information. 2, 5 to the 1, because you want to not just memorize the shapes, but you want to feel the sound, so you can play it in different key later on. 1, this is C major 7, this is the 4, and then this is my F sharp half diminished to B7. You can play it here or here, and then to E minor. And notice that I went to E minor 6. Why did I do that? Well, when you're playing a centered is tonic, right? So I kind of want to hear the tonality of that. And if I'm playing a 7 chord, and it's not wrong, but it kind of feels like I'm going somewhere else, as if it's a 2-5 to D major or something. So by playing the 6 here, I'm actually kind of reinforcing that sound and the idea of the oneness. Let's listen to the melody with that information in mind, that we're playing a 2-5, 1 in the key of G, then 4, and then a 2-5, 1 in the key of E minor. It's important to do these connections because music is about this relationship between the chords and the melody. So the more we pay attention, the better musicians we are. So right, that's the A minor to the D7. That's the C. Just playing the bass a little bit. So it's very interesting, and it's very interesting to notice it, because what is happening here, that the melody and harmony are sort of like intertwined, right? The melody describes the harmony, and the harmony is a part of the melody, if that makes sense. What's happening here is we're going to the 3 of A minor, and then that 3 becomes a 7, the C on top, and then we're going to G. The 3 of G to C, the major 7, beautiful. And then this is the 3 of F sharp again, becomes a 7 of B7. What is very interesting here is the song, or the melody, is really describing the harmony, and it uses a lot of 3 and 7, 3 and 7, 3 and 7, 3 and 7. What I mean by that is the chord A minor, the top melody is the 3, and the top melody on the chord D7 is the 7 of D7, of D major, and then the top melody is B, which is the 3 of G, and then the top melody is again B, which is the major 7 of C. Because again, these are very strong notes, and that motion is very, very beautiful. And a lot of times in music, just in general, the 3 goes to the 7, and then the 7 resolves downwards, like you see here. So it's really very satisfying, I would say. And then again, the 3 to the 7 resolve downward, and the 3 on top again. We can play it here. Alright, we're starting to see the melody in the song. I know it takes time. Look, music takes time, but it's very, very rewarding. So take it step by step, and understanding it and spending the energy and time is really, really worth it. When we're looking at a lot of these jazz songs, it's a really good idea to see sections. So far we talked about the A section. Now, in a song like this, the structure is AAB. I would say A tag. It's kind of A with a little change. So by knowing the first A section, that means by knowing the first 8 bars, we actually know about 75% of the song. So that's a very big deal. And it's very important to know the chords and the harmony and the melody really well, because that will help us tremendously when we actually improvise. So the idea of improvisation is playing right on these chords and expressing ideas, but we really want to hear and internalize the melody in relationship to the harmony, because that will really help us. It's sort of like a light tower that helps us through our solo, because we can hear it and imagine it. We don't need to think or overthink, if you will. And again, that takes time. It's a process, but it's something to aim for. All right, so again, let's look at the first A section that we have, and then we'll go forward. So, right, sequential melody. Now for me, when you're working with this kind of melody, it's really important to see it in the context of the scale. So I can see it in the key of G or in the key of E minor. And I'm saying it because I don't want you to just know fingerings, right? It's totally fine to play, you know, 5, 7, 8, 8, I guess, in terms of frets, you know, but I really want it to be notes and melodies and beautiful kind of like, you know, like, yeah, beautiful melodies that make sense, and it's not just shapes of fingers. Ooh, still really good. Okay, and then we have the melody little by little again, and then we're looking at the harmony, and we have a 2 5 1 4 2 5 1 in the parallel minor. So there is this motion between the major tonality to the minor tonality, again G major to E minor. Okay, cool. So what is happening in the second A? Okay, the second A is actually the same, right? It's complete repetition except the ending. So yeah, right, so basically kind of ending an E minor, not too much going on. What about the B section? Cool, so the B section goes like this. So basically, melodically, we are very much in E minor to the 7th, just articulating E minor and stopping with that melody kind of resolve on the 3 of E minor, which is the note G. What is happening with the chords? Great question. So F sharp half diminished, B7, E minor 6 if you will. And this is a 2-5-1 in the key of E minor, just like we had before. So the elements repeat. The B section starts with a 2-5-1 to E minor. And then we actually go to another A section. This A minor, D7, G major 7, C major 7, F sharp half diminished, B7, and should finish on this E minor, but then there is a little bit more chords. But what's interesting here that the last A is a little different also with the melody, right? So the B section starts here with that like that E minor, and then we go and that's the change. So let's have a little closer look at that last A section. So we have this A minor, D7, G major 7, C7, C major 7, sorry. And that melody here, right, is going to that G major, and then from that G, we have again that 2-5 to E minor. And then this sort of like descending motion to C major 7. It's basically sort of like a 2-5-2-5 to C major 7 or 3-6-2-5, which basically mean the 3, the 6, or the 5 of 2. But here what's happening, oftentimes people play this chromatic thing, so it's like 3, flat 3, 2, flat 2 to C major 7. So this motion here is kind of like leading us to the 4 chord of G, or again the flat 6 of E minor, which are basically the same. They're the same. So kind of leading us to the flat 6, which is a beautiful place to kind of pause on, very, very dramatic, if you will. And then we have a 2-5-1 going back home. Okay, so this is a quick kind of this is kind of a quick overlook of the song and harmonically and melodically, but let's actually make sure we can play the chords and we can play the melody, so we can actually play this chord melody that we're going to do together. Let's do it. Okay, so let's have a look again on just the shapes of the chords. Okay, so we have A minor, D7, G major 7, just look in the first A, C major 7, F sharp half diminished, using this shape, B7, and E minor 6. Now, look, it takes a second, but what I would suggest, if this is hard, just play one chord per bar. So do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the reality is that if you do that for, 20 20 minutes or half an hour really accurately, slowly, slower than you want to do, with a metronome or with some groove, you'll get really, really quickly much better, and you'll be able to play these chords with me or with anybody. So it's really actually kind of a quick learning curve if you do it correctly. So let's try one more time just to have the A section, because as we said, it's 75% of the song. So 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 to G major 7. I'm still thinking about the harmony. C major 7, F sharp half diminished, B7 to E minor, E minor 6. So again, one more time. A minor 7, the 2 to the 5 in G, the 1, the 4 in G, and then 2, 5 to the minor, B7 to E minor, and I'm playing E minor 6. Okay, B section, 2, 5 to E minor, F sharp half diminish, B7 to E minor 6, and then 2, 5 again, last A, D7, G major 7, C major 7, F sharp half diminished, B7, and then this kind of chromatic thing that is happening right now to the flat 6, and then 2, 5, 1. Now at the end I did play a 2, 5, 1, so I did kind of half bar of F sharp half diminished, half bar of B7, and then E minor 6 or E minor. You can just play B7 if you see the chart. You can just do that, totally fine. Another thing to kind of pay attention when you look at these kind of charts, a lot of times they have a lot of accidentals, a lot of sharps, flats, like for example, it's say instead of B7 it says B7 flat 9. Now of course B7 flat 9 is a beautiful sounding chord, but you actually don't have to play it. In that sense, playing B7 and kind of keeping your shell chords clear and simple is a really solid place to be. Okay, so we have the chords. Let's make sure we have the melody, and then let's do a little chord melody together. So I want to play slowly the first A section. Okay, so this is the melody. Again, I really recommend listening to a lot of version of this song. The way I learn music is by listening. So again, a chart is a great tool, but at the end of the day, you don't want to read music from a chart when you're playing. You want to memorize it, internalize it, and then those pieces of information, those beautiful sounds start to be a part of you. So again, I would really recommend listening to a bunch of versions, whatever you can find. Go to YouTube, go to Spotify, whatever you listen to music, and just pull up a bunch of these versions, listen to the melody, and of course the lyrics also helps quite a bit to make this connection between the melody and the lyrics. I was just sick last week, so I'm not gonna try and sing this time, but I do know the lyrics for a lot of these songs, not all of them of course, and it's kind of like something nice to know because it brings extra meaning to the melody in the song. So it's kind of nice to do that work a little bit as well. Okay, so we have the A section. Let's do it one more time, and I'll tap the time here. 1, 2. Second A. Same thing. Okay, so that's the end of the second A. Now, take your time with this. And again, the process is not to learn everything in one day. I really want you to go deeper with the music and understanding and being able to do it. Because if you do that with a bunch of songs, really spending the time, understanding the chords, understanding the melody, understanding what's happening there, singing, all the stuff we're talking about, then the next song will be a little bit easier. Then, you know what? Song number 45 will be way easier. So I know it's a process. I know jazz can be intimidating, and I'm here to kind of help and make sense out of this a little bit. So let's dive back in. So this is the first two A sections in the melody regards, and then let's do the B. Let's start that one more time in time. 1, 2. I think I changed one note in the melody, but it's probably from a version I transcribed. In any case, that was, I kind of went through the last A as well, because for me it's kind of connected a little bit. So it takes time. I want you to be able to know in a way where you are when you're playing that melody. So know, oh, this is the A section, oh, this is the B section. Okay, the B section is a 2-5-1 to E minor. So when you're playing these melodies, you actually feel and hear the harmony within the melody, right? Because again, like we're saying, they're intertwined, so paying attention to that really, really helps. Okay, so we have the melody. We kind of have the chords. We understand the structure, A, B, A, or A tag at the end. And now, how do we approach playing this song in a sense of chord melody? Well, great question. So what I would do first, I would kind of do what I like to call fake chord melody. So I'll kind of go in and out between the melody and the chords. Now, a lot of times it's tricky because sometimes like you need to delay a chord or push the melody a little bit, but let's try to see. I think this song has a lot of space actually, so it'll be a little easier for everybody, and that's one of the reasons I took it, because there's a lot of space in the melody, so it's easier to kind of process. So this is the A section, again with that chord or fake chord melody, if you will. What I'm playing basically is the melody, and then playing the first two chords. So again, not waiting, but really playing the first two shapes, A minor to D7. So I'm kind of articulating that 2-5. Again, it's a little early for the D7, but it sounds good. It kind of makes sense in a way. And I did the same thing, copy paste in terms of rhythm and harmony versus melody, again and again. So I play the melody, chord, 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 chord. Okay, so let's do the second A of that melody, which is almost the same, but with just a little adjustment of the melody. So second A, chord, chord. Think about a sequential melody. Okay, and now we hit the B section. Let's see if this works. It might not work in that sense. We might have to adjust a little bit our fake chord melody. Works. Actually kind of works. Okay, so now you see I hit a rough patch because I was trying to grab the melody, and I don't want to play chord melody just for the sake of simplicity right now. So let's take the B section again, and I'll show you the part where I need to figure out where to change the chord differently. So the B section starts with this. This works. So the same idea. We're playing the beginning of the melody, chord, 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 and then we have that section of the melody, and then after that I try to do the same, chord, chord. Kind of works here, but I think here I'll have to keep the melody a little longer. Yeah, so what I would do is this, and I'll play it a little slower. So I'll basically do the same idea that we did from the B section. Chord, chord, so F sharp, B7 to G minor. Continuing that idea, A minor 7, D7, G major 7, C major 7, and in this moment, when I hit the F sharp, I'm not gonna play chord melody per se, I'm just gonna play the melody. Chords, that descending. And then again, what I did after descending part, I resolved to C major, and then I played just melody. And then just last chord at the end. So again, let's look at the first A section so you kind of get the groove a little bit more. And the idea with the fake quote-unquote chord melody is that you know the melody well enough and the chords well enough, and you can kind of push each other a little bit, and you still, of course, keep the form and structure, but you can kind of hear it, sort of like, you know, sort of like the left hand of a piano player in a way. So it's kind of like comping yourself. And of course, there is nothing wrong with doing a proper chord melody with a lot of motion, but for me, being able to rhythmically know the melody well enough and know the chords well enough and connect them is a big deal, and it will actually help you to create the later chord melodies and to be more free. So again, I'm in the business of making you guys more free and more comfortable. So for me, any exercise that really helps in that sense, I kind of sharing it here in the channel. All right, so I see that you kind of understand what's happening. I'm going to play one version of the whole song from top to bottom, and maybe if you have a guitar, you can grab it and play with me. If not, totally fine. Just listen and make sure you feel the colors. So here we go. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you very soon. Bye.